It's easy to hear your favorite artist on WFPK from wherever you are. Listen on your smart speaker, live stream from our website at WFPK.org, from Louisville Public Media.
Consequence Podcast Network.
Welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with, the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, checking out this episode in the series. Hit that subscribe button. Hit it. So you can keep up with all the interviews that we put out every single week. Brand new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's a great way to keep up with your favorite artists, discover some new ones, know what's happening in the music world. iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Acast, NPR, YouTube for the video versions, or anywhere you get your podcast from. I'm Kyle Meredith. Today, my guest, Creedence Clearwater Revival drummer Doug Cosmo Clifford. We're going to be talking about the album For All the Money in the World. This is a record that he wrote and recorded with Steve Wright in the mid-'80s, but kept inside his Cosmos vault until now. So he's going to tell us about why he sat on the album for so long, tapping Joe Satriani to play guitar on the LP, and the other vault records that are going to be seeing release soon. That includes collaborations with Bobby Whitlock, Doug Sahm, and a solo LP as well. Now, Doug's also going to tell us why he and CCR bassist Stu Cook recently brought Creedence Clearwater Revisited to a close after over 20 years of that offshoot. So let's do this, discussing For All the Money in the World. It's Kyle Meredith with Doug Cosmo Clifford.
Hey, Kyle, how's it going?
Man, it's been great. It's good to talk to you again. I've had so much fun listening to a completely surprise album to us, For All the Money in the World. It's such a great listen. Not so much a surprise for you, as I understand. You've been sitting on this one for quite some time, haven't you?
Well, I have, and it was well worth the wait.
So what is the story here? Because this is a record that you recorded with Steve Wright over 30 years ago. What brought it on, and why sit on it this whole time?
Well, we were trying to, first of all, we started out writing together, and it was a real nice partnership, very easy to do. We fit hand in glove. But the next thing you know, we have a bunch of songs, and so I said, let's record these things so, then we can move on. And when I record, I like to get record quality recordings as a producer. And so that's why they don't sound like demos. And we also were going to put together a band, so I brought in some guitar players. We had everybody but the guitar players, and we have three monster guitar players, Joe Satriani, Greg Douglas, and Jimmy Lyon, all on this record. And they're all Bay Area guys, Bay Area, meaning the San Francisco Bay Area, and the East Bay, which is the blue-collar side, not the fancy side over in San Francisco. So we're more in the rock and roll side of it, the blues side of it. That was sort of our forte. After we had done probably 9 different recordings. That's why I have all the guitar players. I wouldn't have them all in one session. That would be kind of crazy. But anyway, what we came up with was 11 songs that sound just terrific together, and it's rock and roll, and boy, do we need some rock and roll now. But back to your question, when things didn't go the way we wanted them to go, things weren't moving that fast, and other things, life, kids, all of that sort of thing. I put it in Cosmo's vault. My nickname is Cosmo, so I have a vault. And into the vault they went. And I have about 10 albums worth of stuff with different artists. And eventually they will all come out. But right now, For All the Money in the World is the album and the first single off the album. Really a terrific singer in Keith England, and so it's kind of a super session, really, with the guys that we had playing, and Steve Wright's just a monster bass player, so he and I loved getting down in the trenches and pounding out the rhythm section work. So it's an all-around really cool listen, to quote you, and I'm very proud of it and have to get it out so people can hear it. So in terms of that, to me, it's new music because it hasn't been exposed to a listening audience yet.
Well, it's absolutely new to us, and you're right. It was fun even from the get-go, even before the notes, the first notes heard on my part. I saw who was involved in it, and you see those names. You mentioned Satriani. I think that was the one that stood out because, he's not doing, I guess what you would say, his typical stuff on this one. Like, how did you know that he would work with what you all were doing?
Well, all those guitar players at one time or another were in the Great Ken Band. So, and then Steve was, of course, in the Great Ken Band as well. And so we were looking for a guy for a session to record the lead parts on at least 4 songs. And so Steve suggested we use Joe, and so it was an audition as well as a recording session. And I asked him if he would like to join the band, and he said no. He's going to do a instrumental metal record. And we all looked at him and rolled our eyes and said, "Good luck with that." Well, last laughs are the best laughs, and boy, did he get us on that one.
The first single, I mean, right from the get-go with the title track there, I mean, it does evoke a bit of an era. And I was like, it sounds like an 80s record, but it also doesn't sound like an 80s record. And I think that, goes to attest to you as a producer as well, that, it sort of fits the period, but it works outside of it as well. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but is that something that that you were going for at the time, if you remember?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. That's everybody I've talked to in these interviews have said the same thing. And so I think it's a combination of the song. A good song will be around 10 years, 20 years, 30 years in this case. And then also when I produce a session, I'm in there like I'm producing a record that's going to be a release from an artist that is professionally done. So I just put my computer my production gear on and went in, and to any session that I do, especially if I'm mixing, that's where it all comes down. You get good recordings from everybody, and boy, did we have some great guys. And then you go into the mixing phase, and it's a totally different ballgame. So that's how I approach music, really. If I'm going to write something and have a demo for someone, I don't want to have just an acoustic guitar and a vocal that isn't even wet. So I like to have that. There's only one chance to make a first impression. So that's how I approach making records and recording sessions in general.
Well, there's so many cool tracks on here. Lonesome Boy, I think I'm a big fan of. It's got a bit of a Rod Stewart swagger to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So what else is in the vault? I mean, if this is something that you've been sitting on, are all the rest of the albums to this quality and caliber?
Well, yeah, they are. I have one with Bobby Whitlock. It's the same combination. We co-wrote all the material, and we had a little band going. And but his wife didn't like living in the East Bay, and she wanted to live in London. And so in the middle of the night, off he went, and there I was holding the bag. So into the vault she goes, and when it comes out, nobody knows. So that'll be the next release. And then I have another solo. I have a solo album that I put out last year, just when the pandemic hit. Not a good time to do that. But at any rate, that was in there. I've got another solo album that's worth stuff in there that's a little more country than the first one. I've got Sue Douglas Quintet, Doug Sahm. I've got a whole album of him, and so I've got some pretty cool stuff. Good artists to work with.
Yeah, wow. You've got me baited. At least I'm I'm in for all of them that you said right there. Does this have? I mean, putting Revisited to bed, has that opened the door also for all of this to finally put some concentration on it?
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. I have a dear spot in my heart. Stu Cook, and his bass player for Creedence Clearwater Revival, my old pal, 60 years making records together and playing music. We had a plan, and it was like we were hoping to get 4 years out of that project. We got 25 years out of that project. So, things are funny sometimes. It was a fan-driven project. Whatever the fans wanted, that's what we did. We never planned on recording in that project. The fans wanted a CD after the show. We somehow got, and South by Southwest got in the hands of an independent record company, and they took it gold, and then it was the most money they'd ever made, so he decided to resurrect the career of Julian Lennon. Bad idea, because our next royalty check bounced. We said, you can't bounce checks to us and still have us stick around. So we got out of that, and then went to a major label, and they took it platinum. So, it's been a storied career, but, I was traveling, touring year-round for 25 years. So it was time to put that to bed. It served its purpose. I have Parkinson's as well. It's starting to come in, so we don't do any non-Creedence songs, but I was kind of trying to learn shake, rattle, and roll. I thought that might be appropriate for my affliction, so that's a little Parkinson's humor. It allowed me now to stay. I stay home. I just do it all out of my studio office, and I can spend the right amount of time to promote, and that's why I'm talking to you now.
Well, Cosmo, it's been great talking to you, and again, this is so much fun hearing For All the Money in the World. Thank you for what you're doing. I cannot wait to hear the rest of the vaults, and it's been a pleasure talking to you, man. Thank you so much.
Pleasure's mine, and all I ask is that if you do anything to get it on a playlist, give me a helping hand. Radio is what made Creedence, because we were on a jazz label. They didn't know what to do, but radio knew what to do with us, and they're still playing our records 53 years down the road. So hats off to radio, and I love radio.
Thank you so much, man. We'll see you around. Take care.
All right, Kyle. Take care.
Cosmo Clifford there. Now, it was just a few years ago, back in 2019, that I caught up with Creedence Clearwater Revival bassist Stu Cook about Creedence Clearwater Revisited. It was on their final tour that was happening that year, so we got to talk about what it was like having a second life with the revival songs for the last 25 years, why it was time to put it to rest. We also hear about their association with the Big Lebowski and Stephen King, the 50th anniversary at that point of Woodstock 69, and the pair of Rocky Erickson records that Stu produced in the 80s. So I'm going to include that one here as part 2, Creedence. Here's Stu Cook.
Good morning.
I got to say what an honor it is to talk to you first. So there's an upcoming tour with Revisited and everything that's going on there, but we'll get to that in a second. I thought we'd start with the beginning because, as anniversaries go, if we want to split hairs, it's kind of the 60th anniversary of the band, if you want to go back to the beginning, right? Like predating all the others.
Well, yeah, I guess you could look at it that way. I've known Doug for 61 years this September. And it was about a year after I first met him that we got together with John Fogerty and formed the Blue Velvets. So, yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. Amongst all the other anniversaries and celebrations going on, last year was Creedence Clearwater Revival's 50th, Woodstock 50 this year, Revisited 25 this year.
It's everything in there. I thought, you all having started, so 59, 60. I mean, it does. It's before the second wave of rock and roll. I mean, you all, by the time it all did roll around, as history has told many, many times, you had been together for a while, but to see all of that, I mean, it changed so much so quickly. What was that transition like for you all, and did you find it natural and easy?
Nah, I'm on the inside, right? So I have a different perspective than a writer or a critic or a fan in general. To me, it seemed like a fairly logical evolution, actually. We started with a core of music that we all agreed that we liked, rhythm and blues. Some country was, our core agreement. And as we got better, we became more able to express ourselves like the people we had idolized when we first began.
Once it all happens, it happened very quickly. It looks like
about a 3.5-year rocket ride,
yeah.
As I recall.
But, when you talk about 1969, as many of us do, and especially on the 50th anniversary, a lot of artists are talked about, but it does seem like nobody had more of a 1969 than Creedence Clearwater Revival. I mean, 3 records in 1 year, which is, and all 3 of them are amazing. They're all great. Talking about Bayou Country and Green River and Willie and the Poor Boys. For something that's happening in that quick a succession, do those records do they sound separate in your mind, or is that all just one clump of music?
Well, it's a bit of both. I'd have to say that it was a pretty intense period for the band. Bayou Country was recorded in '68, but released January of '69, so it can be lumped in. But like I said, it was all part of. We would make singles. When you had enough singles, then you would almost had an album. Then you would do a couple of what they eventually called album tracks. And then you would have a complete record, and out it would go. But we were recording singles all the time, so it seemed like one long record to us. And when you got between 8 and 11 of them together, then you put out an album, and albums had just become the new medium. When we grew up, it was singles, 45s, right? Then came the long play. First, there was 78s,
right?
That broke very easily, and then the 45s were flexible vinyl, big hole in the middle, and then the long play, 33 and a third, double-sided. So maybe you could get, depending on the length of the program, you could get 4 or 5, maybe 6 songs a side. So. Yeah, that was a change in the marketplace, in the industry. But for us, it was just making something for the radio.
Right, and recording. Somebody else almost. It sounds like somebody else almost slaps a title on it eventually to say these songs go together now.
Yeah. I mean, they had to.
Right. Well, so of course, you can't look at that year without Woodstock, and we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of Woodstock. The concert is finally getting released on August 2nd. I know that big box set is coming out as well. But in that moment, what I've got written down here was the moment versus what it became, because in that moment, was it just another show?
Pretty much. Yeah, it was the summer of festivals. There was festivals all over the country, coast to coast, and in the middle as well. At the time, it seemed like it was a pretty big undertaking, but they all were. We never really thought that it was going to be such a remembered event. There were bigger festivals for sure, and there have been since. But I think it was the spirit of the crowd that makes it stand out. I look at it now, and I think the bands were just the background music for some other kind of event that happened that hadn't happened before and hasn't happened since. That's my takeaway now. But on the other hand, when we came over the hill in the helicopter to get to the concert site, and there was a sea of humanity, it was quite a sight to behold.
Was there a moment that you noticed that it had become something different, years down the road or whatever?
Well, sure. I mean, once once all the stories were woven together, and we had a film to document, to show all the stuff. You couldn't possibly know everything that went on, even if you were there. You couldn't have known everything that was transpiring. So the film was a great document of what people can do, how it can happen. It's mired in controversy right now. I don't know. Do you know if there's going to be something? Last I heard was that the venue had been pulled.
It has.
So sort of like the first one, right? They didn't have a venue either.
Well, Michael Lang has a way of it seems of. I don't know what's. I'll say a bit candidly here, and I'll make sure to point out that I'm not projecting. I'm not putting words in your mouth. It's my opinion here. That it seems like everybody tries to put on a festival, and they can pull it off once. Like anybody can do a festival these days, and that makes it really surprising to me that Woodstock has had so much trouble. Because if any festival is going to get off the ground these days, I feel like that would be one of the easiest. But it is marred in controversy again, and who knows? Because their band's still on the bill. Whether or not it happens, I don't know.
I think it's anybody can do a festival. Michael Lang has done all the Woodstock festivals. Some were, the first one was the one. He's also did the one that turned into riots and chaos. So I don't know that it makes any sense to try and recreate with another concert, to celebrate the first one. But I'm watching this one from the sidelines.
Well, I do think it all is all about, as you mentioned, the spirit of it. I mean, as you said, that is what made that first one so memorable. '94 was a good concert. It was really, for a lot of the lineup right there. But did music change the world? I mean, with all of that spirit and the music as the background, can it? And is that possible today? For something like this?
I'm afraid it isn't. I don't know that it ever was able to change the world with music. I'm referring to. It brings people together. It's a very unique art form in that it really doesn't have any guardrails, and it's very difficult for it to be co-opted. It's personal. It's universal at the same time. It's quite a gift. And combined with the spirit of Woodstock, people thought that there was something there. But on its own, music has devolved into some other kind of product, that you eat now. It's very disposable. So, I guess everybody would hope that eyes could be opened and kept open. But, we quickly move on. So, certainly John Lennon took a shot at that. And, got a lot of attention, and it made sense. But I think it has to be evaluated or, viewed with, what has actually changed. To try and keep it going is the hard part. The idea is always great, but keeping it going is the hard work, right? So right. I wouldn't expect that to be the true function of music. So it's always nice to have music, though. It may not fix the problems of the world, but it makes your day nicer.
I'll actually jump around too, because there is the power of music making. Because as Creedence Clearwater Revisited now, here you are on a farewell tour, but there is a partnership, right? Something that you guys are doing towards the end of the tour with a museum of music making music and the Friends of San Pasquale Academy. This has to do, though, with the power of music a bit, like those entities there, right?
Well, of course. Music is what brings all the energy together in one spot. But that alone isn't enough, right? People have to actually do the hard work. It's great inspiration in that my career has never failed to amaze me. How just something as simple as a 3-chord song can how far it can take you. I've been around the world several times based on 40 or 50 songs.
It also a part of the farewell tour as you're being billed. Why is this the farewell tour? And does this mean retirement, or what exactly does that? Because that's a loaded word for a lot of people.
Yeah, I know. Retirement's bad, right? Work until you drop. No, we're hanging it up this year because we're still hitting on all 8 cylinders. We're consistent or having a good time with the music. But the road is just not a place where you want to be. We've done it for 25 years. We've been to some places, over a dozen times, and there's still time left in our lives to do other things that we also enjoy. We've all got bigger families now. We have grandkids, which we like to spend more time with, and we've still got some additional traveling to do. My wife and I are still checking things off the list. I like to spend some time in Central America, where I do a lot of vacationing, and it's just time to move on. Really, 25 years is 20 more than we ever thought we'd do this. So, it's been a great ride, and the support of the Creedence Clearwater Revival fans has been terrific. The project was started just to celebrate and honor the quartet, the work of the quartet, and to get us out of the house. And now it's time. I think we some of our time could be better spent around the house. So. Doug and I are neither going to leave. We're not leaving the music business. We're not leaving music, but we are leaving the road.
I read that, when you all started Revisited, Doug had actually considered that he was probably retired at that point, 25 years ago.
Yeah. I ended up, I was living in Los Angeles, and, it was time for a change. So I ended up in Incline Village, Nevada, where Doug and his family had been living for 10 years or something like that, 10, 12 years. Forget exactly how many, but so we started hanging out, jamming all the time, and the idea to get back in the saddle was almost obvious, But up until then, distance had kept us from really focusing on anything, any kind of collaboration. But when we just lived across town from each other, it made all the sense in the world to get together and hang out and start playing and looking for other guys to play, and so it was. We had no idea where it was taking us until now. This year we realized, it's taken us. We've gone as far as we really want to with this project. It's been a terrific experience, and we're always blessed to get a second bite of the apple, especially when it's so sweet. But I like to put it this way: there's more sand in the bottom of the glass than the top right now, and for me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to keep doing the same thing over and over again when I can be doing other things that I put on the back shelf.
Well, I know you've done producing and of course collaborating all through your career. I did want to bring up one of those because you produced one of Rocky Erickson's records with the Evil One, who we of course lost earlier this year. And talk about one of those artists who just deserved more. We're such big fans of him around here. Did you all keep in touch through the years?
Yes and no. We saw each other. I was living in Austin for a while, and I would see Rocky around town and attend his performances whenever I could. But it was we recorded 15 songs together, which were spread out over 2 albums. The first one was called The Evil One. The second one was just shortened to TEO. Mm-hmm. So there's, in their original configuration, there are 5 shared songs and 5 different songs on each disc. But that was quite an experience. I think that was when I really realized what a record producer was supposed to do. Rocky didn't make it easy for me, but we had a great time, and I think the result stands the test of time. It was a very productive era or period in Rocky's life. Mm-hmm. He was really on his game. He had a lot of ups and downs, and I thought that the work we did together was some of the best that he did in his whole career. It came together in a kind of a crazy way. It was very organic, and I know that he liked the records that we did. So that's enough for me.
Is that something you're going to do more of? Or are you looking to do more of?
I really don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to scuba dive more. I'm going to play golf more. I'm going to ride my bike more. And I've every once in a while I'll do some project for somebody. I'll lay down some bass tracks for people that were interested in my style of playing. Want to incorporate it into what they're doing. I do that kind of stuff. I've had an offer to produce some tracks for other artists. I don't have a plan right now. The plan is to play great this year.
That's an easy plan. That's
yeah.
Keep it easy in the sights. I'll finish up here with a bit more of a trivial question too, because Creedence has probably been used in movies just about more than any other band. The songs in there, and I couldn't even pretend to start naming half of them. Do you got a favorite? Is there a favorite movie moment with a CCR song that you've got?
Yeah, I think that although it's not a song per se, it's in The Big Lebowski.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the dude's car is stolen, and he's talking to the cop about the incident, and he mentions that there was a Creedence tape, paraphrasing it. And the cop says, "Well, we might be able to get your car back." Well, I wouldn't hold out any hope for the Creedence tape. Words to that effect. Anyhow, it's always nice to be written into a script. It's almost better. It's almost better than having a song in the movie is to actually been inside the writer's head so much that Stephen King has done that as well with Creedence. He'll use Creedence to describe a time and a feeling, just to take you into his writing. So that's the highest honor, I think.
It just seemed like for a long time there, if there was a war scene, especially a Vietnam scene, you knew that right. Run Through the Jungle was going to be played, or Fortunate Son. You're one of those, something like that.
Yeah.
It was going to be played.
Yeah. I mean, Run Through the Jungle isn't even about the Vietnam War. So, but anyway, people associate, and then it's very difficult to unassociate, right?
Well, it's interesting, by the way, side note, Louisville, it's where I'm based right here, and we're the home of the Lebowski Fest. We have nothing to do with the movie, but we are the home of the Lebowski Fest. So.
And what happens then?
They watch them. It's been going on for like 15, 16 years every year. It's just one of those. I know they have different movies like that all around the country, the festivals, but they watch the movie. They've got games where, taking little scenes from the movie, and they've made it a game. They always have some bands around to play songs from the soundtrack and all that. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of kitschy fun.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's a lot of fun. So you're actually well represented here in Louisville, at least once a year, beyond all the usual radio airplay. So
I like it. Yeah, Creedence gets as much airplay as anybody.
Yeah,
maybe more, to the chagrin of new artists.
Well, it just goes to say, to show how well these songs were crafted and everything. And when you had, the original run and everything, and those songs and the Chronicle greatest hits, but to turn around with recollection or recollection, I think it's however you might say that. With
either way,
yeah, with Revisited.
It works both ways. That was sort of the idea.
Yeah. Well, when you all did that again, to have that success prove itself again, I mean, because that became a platinum selling record in itself.
That's right. It's a double platinum album.
That says everything about those songs right there and what you all did. And I thank you all for the music, and I know many people do, but I'm so happy that it happened the way it did.
Yeah, it's all of us realize that we're blessed that we could still scratch our heads and wonder how we could have had not only one but two great careers from the original work. It's amazing we even had one career, actually. Given the music business.
Right. Congratulations on all of that, and congratulations on knowing when to hang it up for yourself, and to do other things. Be looking forward to this farewell tour and catching you guys out there, and I'll make mention of a special show September 25th. I know that's in partnership with the Museum of Making Music, Friends of the San Pasquale Academy, which is a nice good turn part of this tour. So, Stu, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for doing this.
All right, I'll see everybody at the Belly Up Tavern in Solana Beach for this great event that's coming up.
All right. Take care, man. We'll see you around.
Nice talking with you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Cheers.
My thanks there, Stu Cook. And of course, with Doug Cosmo Clifford again, the brand new record is called For All the Money in the World. Thanks to you for checking this out. Hit that subscribe button before you get out of here. Again, 3 brand new interviews every single week. New ones every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. At iTunes and Apple Podcasts, at Spotify, Acast, Podchaser, NPR, YouTube for the video versions, or anywhere you get your podcasts from. Subscribe to Kyle Meredith With. After that, head over to WFPK.org, where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, including Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all 3 of them at Kyle Meredith. I do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.
Consequence Podcast Network.
It's easy to hear your favorite artist on WFPK from wherever you are. Listen on your smart speaker, live stream from our website at WFPK.org, from Louisville Public Media.